Alright, what's up guys? My name is Zach, and today I am driving a 2008 Ford Edge SEL all-wheel drive. Up front is a 3.5-liter V6, and down below is a 6-speed automatic transmission. Now, I'm super excited to be driving this Ford Edge because I've actually never driven a Ford Edge here on the channel. I know it might be shocking, but it's just one of those regular cars that I seem to have missed in my career, and so I'm going to amend it here today. But if you would like to submit your own vehicle, you can head on over to my website, zackpradel.com/submit. It's a quick and easy submission form, takes under a minute to fill out, and I come out to you. And huge thank you to North Naperville Autos for letting me take out their Ford Edge for this video. You'll hear more about them towards the end. But let's get back to that 3.5-liter V6, making about 265 horsepower. Well, say what you will about Ford reliability, it's rather here, rather there, rather everywhere sometimes, and so it's hard to nail down. However, I do like the solid power coming from the V6, and I'll talk more about it when we talk about the transmission, but I like that it even has a V6. This was the only engine offered in this model year of the Ford Edge, so no matter what you got the 3.5. Like I said, paired to it is a 6-speed automatic transmission. Again, I don't have any worries, complaints, or feelings about it, and it's doing its job. But that engine, the V6 and the automatic 6-speed, I really like, because this to me is a more traditional setup, and this is a little bit before vehicles of this size started to go with either CVTs or smaller displacement engines. Like around this time, the Mazda CX-7 got a 2.3-liter turbo inline 4. We started trying out 4-cylinder turbos in vehicles of this class, and now today's standard, it's hard to find 6 cylinders in SUVs. Even the brand new big Lexus TX mostly come with 4 cylinders, unless you get the hybrid, which then you get the 6 cylinders. So this is definitely an SUV of a different era, and that's evident between the engine and transmission. Last but not least, this particular Ford Edge is all-wheel drive. However, you could find them in just front-wheel drive if you wanted. So how does it feel to drive the Ford Edge? Well, it drives like a lot of other Ford products. Immediately, it feels like the Ford Taurus X that they did in the mid-2000s, actually in this era as well. So it drives a lot like that, and sure, a lot of the touch points are the same. The steering wheel feels the same, throttle feels the same, things like that. But overall, it's a rather numb experience. I don't get a road feel. I don't feel like I'm about to carve up a canyon. It's fine. It drives straight down the road, and that's pretty much it. With that stuff out of the way, let's talk about the interior. Well, in front of me, I have 4 gauges. Off to the left is my tachometer. In the center, I have my fuel and coolant temperature, and off to the right, I have my speedometer. I also do get a little digital odometer down at the bottom, which is nice to see. And on the steering wheel, on the left, we have our cruise control options, and off to the right, we have our volume, skip track, media, and phone options. Like I said, this is a parts bin part from Ford. Not a bad thing, just something to point out. Off to the left, we do have a climate control vent, headlight switches along with fog light switch and gauge dimmer switch. And moving on to the door, I have 2 levels of memory seats, lock and unlock, power mirrors, and power windows, as well as window locks. Moving into the center, we get a little tray up at the top. I'm not sure what you could store up here without it rolling away, but you get that option, I guess. Then we have the very standard, very typical, I've seen it a million times, Ford radio. You saw this in the Taurus. You saw this in, well, pretty much every car that they were making in this era. So a welcome for a friend for sure. Down below that, we have our info setup and reset buttons, along with traction control, hazard switch, and our passenger airbag on and off light. Climate controls, we do have dual zone climate, which is very nice to see for 2008 in a non-luxury brand. This was very nice to have in the era. And I like the little digital readout. It's clean, it's simple and concise, and that's what I love. And yet it's not a touch screen. Again, something that I love. Down below that, we have our fan speed, heated seat, AC and recirculating buttons. Really nice to see that little row there. Again, clean and concise. And down below, we have a 12-volt outlet, cubby, and a little tray, again, to hold whatever you want. Off to the right, we do have cup holders. So we'll do a big friggin' bottle test. And here's the thing. The bottle fits in the cup holder. However, as I'm driving around, even though the bottle is empty currently, it is wiggling around and swaying a lot. However, it has not fallen down. So I will give the 2008 Ford Edge a pass. I'm just not super happy about it. Off to the left, we have the shifter. We do have a little badge up at the top that says Sync, powered by Microsoft. Love to see that. However, these shifters, pretty run-of-the-mill, another part's been part. Again, not a bad thing, just something to point out. Then we do have a center console with some coin holders, different organizers, and this is where we'll find our aux input, USB input, and a 12-volt outlet. Some interesting goodies down in the center console, the Ford Edge. I also just discovered that this actually has a false floor. And you actually get like another, what is that, 10 inches of depth? I mean, that's pretty impressive. I just noticed this while getting my coverage shots. The seats are comfortable. They are leather. They are heated, power, and memory, which are very nice features for 2008. Again, Ford still had their Mercury and their Lincoln brand. They still have Lincoln, but Mercury is obviously no more. And so for a car like this to have nice features like that they didn't reserve for Mercury or Lincoln, very, very nice to see. However, speaking of seats, we do have back seats. So let's go do a back seat review. All right, so we're in the back of the 2008 Ford Edge SEL all-wheel drive. And a couple of things to note. First of all, knee room good, headroom good. The floor back here feels like it's a little bit higher than in the front. I don't have any hard evidence to prove yes or no, but that's just how it feels. Headroom is good. Did I already say that? Might have. Center console, come on down. We got two cup holders that open up here, not very deep, but that's okay. We do have two climate vents down here as well as a 12-volt outlet. And overall, this is actually a really nice place to be. I'm 5'11". I'm not a small guy, and I can spread out here pretty well, pretty nice. I'm not too squished, which is hard to find in, again, vehicles in this segment. I guess the Edge is just bigger than what I remember it to be. Maybe that's the case. Well, who knows? Let's hop into the very back. We'll see if it's bigger back there, and then we'll talk about the looks. All right, so we're on the back of the Ford Edge SEL from '08, and I'm starting to learn this car is equipped very odd because it doesn't have a power tailgate, nor does it have a sunroof, but it has heated seats, memory seats, dual zone climate, kind of weird. Anyway, popping back here, we do have storage cubbies on either side, this big boy, as well as a 12-volt outlet. Love to see that in vehicles. Of course, these are the floor mats. Want to keep these nice for the next owner. We love to see that. However, we can pull this up, and we do have some storage down below. So really nice stuff in the back, and of course, the second row does fold flat. Love to see that. And again, the Edge is bigger than I remember, and so this definitely speaks volumes towards that as well. I would say this is more than adequate space for 99% of humans with automobiles. Big grab handle up here, toss it down like that. Now we gotta talk about the looks, and this is like quintessential blobbiness from Ford in this era. It's not quite the oval era that they had at the late 90s, early 2000s, but just, I mean, it looks like someone designed a really cool car and left it out in the sun for a little too long. It's not dripping, but it's definitely not the shape it used to be. And I think the color just doesn't really help its case either. I think it helps it look a little bit more boring than maybe, say, a flashy red or a hot blue. However, with all of that being said, let's get on to my final thoughts. What do I think driving the Ford Edge SEL from 2008? Well, it's fine. This car is fine. I don't love it. I don't hate it. You know, I don't have a vendetta against Ford Edges now, but it's just unimpressive in the way that it drives. And I guess the features are kind of nice, again, for what it is. But overall, I'm not head over heels for this thing. I'm not falling in love with it. However, I will say, a really interesting part about driving this car is looking at a bygone era of SUVs. In the 2000s, we were still very much experimenting with what the heck this SUV market is going to be like. We got weird cars like the Honda Cross Tour, the Murano Cross Cabriolet, the Pontiac Aztek. Those vehicles are all growing pains in the SUV market. We weren't sure what buyers were going to want. And so the same here with the Ford Edge. This was a good attempt from Ford. They gave it a V6 and 6-speed auto, and it was fine. It was just okay. It worked, it filled the gap, and it gave them something to offer an emerging market, but it just didn't really have much of a foothold. You know what this car is? This car is like going to a museum and you see an exhibit full of ancient tools, and you're like, oh, they would twist this sharp rock and that would kind of act like a drill. You understand where the human technology has come from, although it doesn't quite look like what it does today. You go, oh, they had things like that back in the day. That's kind of what it feels like to drive this and review this, because now I have all of this knowledge from 2024 of small displacement turbos, hard, sharp angles. Well, it all evolved from this. So while I don't love driving it, I think the history part is kind of interesting. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Huge thank you to North Naperville Autos for letting me take out their Ford Edge. I have worked with North Naperville Autos for years now. They have always been absolutely wonderful, delightful to work with. They always have cool and interesting vehicles, especially vehicles that I haven't reviewed before, and so I'm very thankful for their partnership. Their information is down in the description below. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it. Take care, guys.